Well, you can't be off screen like that. You gotta get closer. Y'all's gotta get closer.
Okay.
Get closer. Get farther. Get farther.
Oh.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Alex from the Alex Sigrist Show, and today I brought in two special guests to talk about something very important. But before I introduce them, let me introduce the topic. Today we're going to be talking about why we left America. There's a lot in the political discord going on right now. The discussions, the conversations, the news, the blogs, Facebook, the fake news, all of this. And there's a lot of reasons to like America, and there's a lot of reasons not to be so happy with what's going on. Was that enough to push us away? Is that enough to keep us back? Are more and more people leaving America? Those are the discussions going on right now, but today we're going to give you our opinions. It's just three people who decided to pick up, leave America, and move to South Korea. So, this time I would like to go ahead and introduce our guests. You may recognize them. I'm going to start with my left. To my left, we have Mikole.
What's up, guys? My name is Mikole, aka Mikole. I'm a YouTuber here in South Korea, and right now, I live here. I love it. Left the States and haven't looked back yet.
And to my right, we have Cedric.
Cedric Skycedi, for those of you guys that don't know. Also YouTuber here. I've been in Korea for almost a year now, and yeah, I love it as well.
Where are we from? We're Americans, right?
That's right.
I'm from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Born and raised, spent 3 years of my younger life in Japan. And then as soon as I graduated college, in Ohio, of course, I moved to Korea to become an English teacher. So Ohio, born and raised. What about you, Cedi?
So I was also actually born in Ohio, but I was born to a military family. My father was stationed there at the time, but most of my life I spent in North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, right outside of Fort Bragg, a military town. And I also lived in New Jersey for 5 years, right outside of New York City. And then, about a year ago, I made the move to Korea.
Wait, what was that? What's the Fayetteville thing? Hey, come on. Where are you from, Mikole? Where are you from?
I was born in Louisiana due to the military. And then I moved to Bragg, or Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then from there, I moved somewhere else. But my family settled down in Augusta, Georgia, where my dad retired, and ended up moving back to Fayetteville after college. So I'm basically a Georgia, North Carolina boy.
So we're Southern, we're East Coast. That's kind of what we represent, right?
Yeah.
My mom was a farmer. My dad grew up in a big, huge family of 8, Catholic family. I mean, we consider ourselves like it's the average case in Ohio. And not too rich, not too poor. But at the end of college, there was the opportunity for me to leave Korea and learn a language. And when I asked my professor, what are the options? He said try to be an English teacher in South Korea. He was Korean, so, it was that or Japan. And in the end, I ended up choosing Korea. But I left America, I think, because I was escaping maybe that Ohio life.
Yeah.
For me personally, I left because I didn't want the straight through. You go to college, you go to grad school, you get the job, you raise the family, your kids go to the same school, your kids do the same sports, and then the cycle repeats again. I wanted something that was, I don't know, like, that feeling in life where you don't want to know what's next. You like the excitement of I might try something new and fail or succeed. That's what I wanted.
Right. That kind of spontaneity.
Yeah. And now that's not what I said the moment I left, but looking back, I think that's what it was. So, Mike, what was it for you that, I know it wasn't first Korea, but what got you out of America first?
I mean, originally it was Japan.
Yeah.
Right. I studied there in college for about a year. Loved it, and that kind of gave me the travel bug. That gave me that kind of itch to live outside of the country.
Yeah.
And so, the thing is, when you go back home and you start talking about your adventures overseas, like, no one can really quite grasp.
Yeah,
they don't understand it.
You have something not in common with them now that only other people that tried that have. There's a comfort in that.
Yeah, and some people just look at me like, well, like, is this the only thing you're going to talk about?
Yeah.
Or, it just frustrated them. And for me, I feel like something was missing.
Right.
Because I knew I wanted to go back overseas. I wanted to try that life again. And because I had a lot of experiences with Korean Americans and the Korean American community, I was like, let me go try out South Korea. And I was kind of tired of teaching in North Carolina as well, teaching for state schools. I wanted something different. I wanted something better. Yeah. And so then everything just kind of fell into place perfectly. And I ended up here back in 2014.
Come closer.
Thank
you.
Sorry.
Come here. Cedric, why get out of here. What's your story? What's your story?
Sure. So my story is a little different in that I grew up.
I think it's exactly how he started his video.
Right.
My story's a little different.
Well, so I grew up in a multi-ethnic household. My father was African American, but my mother is Korean. And so I've always had an interest in Korean culture growing up in that house because the Korean culture was a little different. You know, in other words, I was a little different from all the other kids that I grew up around because I had a different cultural element versus maybe just the regular average American family. And so that always kind of kept my interest in Korean culture and wanting to learn more about my culture. So as I grew up, I realized, you know what, it would be cool to actually live in Korea one day. So my motivation for coming here stems all the way maybe 20, 25 years ago from when I was a kid, just always wanting to know what it was like. So fast forward to today, I finally made the decision to come because I said, you know what, I'm still single, I don't have a family, I'm getting older, and I won't have this opportunity soon once I settle down. So I made the decision to go ahead and just take my life and start over, basically.
Was this your first time in Korea?
My first time living, my second time actually ever coming to Korea. My first time was actually as an adult in 2012. And at that point, when I first visited, I was like, that really confirmed those childhood dreams. Like, you know what? I should definitely come here. And at that point, I looked into teaching. It took a couple years for me to actually pull the trigger on that, but here I am. So my motivation for leaving was more so, just I've always wanted to know what it's like, and I need to do it at least once.
Yeah.
And see where it takes me. So that's how I got here. Now, there are also other things that motivated me to really stay.
Right.
And I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just to briefly talk about it, I've been here, this is my 10th year in Korea. This is what for you?
4.5.
4.5?
4.5.
It's 9.5 for me, for being accurate, but come on, 10 sounds cool, man. 10 sounds cool.
I'm finishing up my fifth.
1/3 of your life.
Yeah, so that's for me. And you are pretty much a year when this comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
But all of us, as far as I know, we have plans for much longer than 1-year contracts.
Right.
We're hoping to stay a lot longer. So for me, let's do that. Why are we staying here? Wow, that's actually a tougher question than I thought. Because there's a lot of reasons. I mean, life is easy. It's a good place to live, but life's easy in lots of different cities. So transportation's good, food's good. I like all that stuff. So having life be easy is kind of a base for me. That's the basic that you need. But the other one is being a foreigner in Korea has given me this opportunity to, I guess, excel. Because Korea is a good place for foreigners who come from certain parts of the world, to be blunt, especially English-speaking countries, to excel and get these niche jobs if they put in the effort to learn Korean. So for me, the more effort I put into learning Korean and trying new things or investing in YouTube or whatever it may be, the more opportunities I got. And I kind of like that. And there is no current ceiling if you hit those categories. I mean, I know we all got these different dreams with YouTube. I know you have some ideas of maybe pushing the envelope in entertainment as well.
Right, absolutely.
And so what are some of the things that are keeping, is it job related? Is it Korea's comfortable for you? What's keeping you here?
So there's a lot of different answers for that. Definitely when it comes to career, I want to, like you mentioned, I do want to get into the entertainment industry, not really just for personal gain, but I want to be able to inspire and motivate people with my own story and
Come
to
get
show.
Inspired and motivated over here.
Let me inspire you, Mike. Yeah, so, I want to be able to not only just be a foreigner who is getting some of the TV gigs or getting, well-known in the entertainment sphere, but I also want to be able to push Korea or be part of pushing Korea forward culturally with their paradigms, me being multicultural, being half Korean, and just kind of representing that space as well, because I think that's something that Korea needs right now. Korea's come a long way, but still has a long way to go. So I definitely want to do that. So that's more of a greater, deeper purpose for me. But also, I'm thinking about really settling down here and making Korea my home base and, thinking about future plans of raising a family. And again, those are going to present some challenges.
Speaking of which, how much are we allowed to talk on air about you? You've got long-term plans. What can you say as much as you'd like to say?
For me, currently I'm engaged.
There we go. Okay, if we can say that.
I was going with that. Currently I'm engaged. I'm going to marry. is Korean, sweet young lady.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. In May. And as of now, I don't have any set plans to return to the U.S. And it is not that I don't plan on going to the U.S. ever again, but I don't have any set plans. And between that and growing closer to her family, as well as just having a really good job, and then also enjoying my life doing YouTube.
We've set some really good relationship ties, not just with people that we were going to get engaged to or we're going to marry. Just even friendships ties are now starting to take hold, especially for you and I.
Right.
But you're starting to build those right now.
Yes,
and those ties are like roots. They ground you into wherever you're at. And if you don't leave, those roots get deeper and deeper.
Right.
And it makes it harder to leave. I mean, we say why we want to stay, but it's also becoming harder and harder to leave the more that we're here. So if you're going to be here for 5 or 10 years, going back becomes a lot scarier.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's that. Are you feeling those ties yet? Are you feeling it?
I'm already starting to feel it. I mean, like with you guys,
so
seriously, like
Shoot.
and it's only been a year, but for me at this point, I realize the value of relationships and solid relationships. So, as I'm building that, and I'm realizing that the gap of the relationships I'm building here versus the relationships I used to have in the States is becoming even bigger. And so...
They're way different.
Yeah. So, like, the longer I stay here, I realize that those relationships that I used to have in the States are not going to be like it used to be. Right. And so Korea is going to be where I have most of my meaningful relationships outside of my family and maybe close friends, right? So that's one of the things that's really helping keep me here,
So what about this then? Let's go back to focus on the States and the U.S. We'll do the positive in a second, but the negative, what's preventing you from going back to the States on the American side?
Right.
Like for me, there's a lot of different things. The negatives, I go back and I think you touched on it earlier, like you have these conversations with people who just don't understand the world the same way as you do. And, sometimes it comes off as arrogance, but you see more possibility of being in a different country. And, wow, I've been to Korea, now I want to go to Jeju. Jeju's not far enough, I want to go to see India and the Philippines and other great countries. And you see this, but when I go home, there's a lot of people that are, they want the next house, the next mortgage, and the conversations. While that's a great life to have, that's not my current life. And, on the boring side, it's like, wow, what's new in town? A new Dunkin' Donuts down the street. It's conversations that mean more to people who live there.
Right.
And so those ties, those relationship ties back at home, I'd still do anything for them, but sometimes there is a splitting off if they're not family.
It's different. It's different because when you go back home, everyone's they stay there and that becomes their world or it's always been their world, right? But then now your world is much larger.
Yeah.
And you have a bigger idea of either what you want to do or where you want to go, who you want to see. And it's almost like the more that you travel, the more you live abroad, the wider it gets.
Right.
Because you never really get satisfied. At least the majority of people never get satisfied.
Right.
And some who are really close to their family, and I love my family, but some of people, they go overseas for a little bit and then they're like, okay, now I'm going to go home.
Right.
And then they're okay with going home and staying home for the rest of their life, But but me personally, I just think I have so much to do, so much to see before I say, okay, I'm done.
Right. What about you? Are there any things that keep you away from America? And again, America specific. Is it similar? Is it different?
Well, it's definitely similar, but to kind of tag along with that, I mean, the political climate right now is definitely, it's not the best, right? And
Say some more so people will leave angry comments. Why isn't it the best?
I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. But so that's something that I'm considering. Also, for me personally, when I'm there, I feel like I can't really fulfill my purpose the way that I can if I'm in Korea.
Right, yeah.
Right. So that's a big thing because when I was in the States the last few years, I tried a lot of different things. I established, I actually did a couple of different businesses, in which one was getting successful, and I decided to leave that to come to Korea. And I technically still have that business. But, I realized as I was doing it, and I had the potential to be really successful with money, I realized this isn't my purpose. I'm not happy doing this. And so while my other colleagues and people who are doing the same, were in the same industry, they were getting successful. Right. I wasn't really motivated by that anymore. I was just like, you know what? I don't know if America has what I need, in terms of what I want to do. So that's one of the, I guess, bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
Money to me is a big thing too, because my brother and I talk a little bit about our jobs and stuff, and for him to save more money than me, he has to make more money because cost of living in the States is pretty intense. Right. Like I save a ton of money in Korea relative to my friends and family who are making a little bit more than I am. I don't need a car here. Right. Health insurance is generally cheaper. Other transportation fees, whatever it is, food, it's not that expensive when you're comparing it to the cost of living, the overall cost of living in the States.
Yes.
And I don't think about that. That's not like why I'm like, well, I can't go back because of money. But it plays a role into my decision making a little bit.
Right. Yeah. That's a very good point. And that's another thing, because for me, to go back, my standard of living is a lot higher in the States. Because when I was living in Jersey, the cost of living there is probably one of the most expensive in the United States.
Right.
And so it takes more out of me to be able to support that type of lifestyle. Right. Whereas here, I don't need as much. I don't feel the pressure to need as much because, I can get by with a lot lower and be a lot happier. So that's another thing. Yeah. I'm a lot happier with even less here.
What about the last question then? What would bring you back? I've got a couple things in my mind right now. And then one that everyone talks about is, this was 10 years ago when teachers would come here. If I raise a family here, I would never want to put them through the Korean public school system. It's too much work. It's too intense. And, I always kind of heard that. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But, America's the opposite. Maybe it's not intense enough in some places. So there's plus and minus.
Yes.
But for me, it was always family. It's the only thing that could really bring me back quickly. And I don't mean just like I want to see my family. When certain realizations in life happens, when parents get older, when someone gets hurt, when they need you, for me, it is family first, but not family for no reason. Like, I'm not just going to go back because my family's there.
Sure.
But if something comes up or I'm realizing that we need to get closer or I want my kids to be around, I don't have kids, but if that ever happened, for me, it's really the only thing that would bring me back is family. And unless there's like an amazing job opportunity related to Korea, maybe in California, I guess.
Right.
But for me, it's family. Or if I get married, it would be my wife's decision as well to move there. So that's what I consider.
Right.
The only thing to take me back. How about you?
Same.
That's it?
Same. It's definitely family. Yeah. And just because my mom, she was born 1950. She's going on 69 this year, right? And so this is a thought that's constantly occurring in my mind. And if I can go back to the U.S. and there's a job related to either me doing some kind of YouTube thing or working for some company where I can continue doing this social media thing. Right. And I always will love teaching, but I also know what my passion is. So if I can keep that going and at the same time be with my family.
Yeah. And I don't think, by the way, this is all just like we're thinking end of life kind of stuff here. Like I think about going camping and hiking with my mom, before it gets too complicated. She's still young and active and able to do it. But at the same time, you don't want life to just pass by the next 10 years and you miss that. And then all of a sudden, we can't do some of the same things together. Yeah. So it's not all about the mortality question, but it is about what can you do with your brothers and sisters in your 30s versus your 50s whenever I go back? I'm in my 30s now, low 30s. So I think about that.
Yeah.
What's going to push you back? What would draw you back to America?
Well, things would... I would have to say if there are just no opportunities for me here in Korea and I'm able to go to the States and live on my own terms. In other words, I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about how to survive. If I can go back and just kind of plant myself anywhere or even be somewhat of a nomad, digital nomad as they call it, then maybe. Because then I know that I'm not tied here, or tied in America. So I think that would draw me back. But it would have to take a lot, I think. Yeah. I think it would have to take a lot. And, of course, that's in addition to family as well.
I think we can conclude it here with the way we describe ourselves. Right now, if I look to the future of when I'm going back to America, I tell people the same thing every time. In the midterm, which doesn't mean much, but when you look at short term and long term, I have no future plans to go back. In the short term, the first 1 to 3 years, I don't know if I'll live in Korea forever. I'd like to go back one day to America. But that's the long term, and I'm somewhere in between. So for me, that's where I stand. What about you guys?
I think, for how I see it now, I think I'll be here more so long term to quite possibly permanently, but that depends on how my life is set up here and also my family, future spouse, taking all that into consideration. So I don't have any plans to go back or to even retire in the States, but we'll see. So I can leave it at that. We'll see.
Same. Just right now, just I'm working here. I'm enjoying it. And long term eventually, but I think that I know that my fiance wouldn't mind living in the U.S. As a matter of fact, she's already told me places she would like to live in the U.S. at that. So I know that will be a goal eventually, or at least something that we'll settle on. But for right now, we're just kind of building on what we have in Korea.
And if there's any way to like kind of sum that up and relate it to what we talked about in the beginning, we are people here. The people that stay in Korea or want to stay in a different country are people who are very much accepting of risk in life. We don't know what the next 5 years will bring, and we're okay with that. A lot of people that are risk averse, it's another great way to live, but more likely to say, I'm going to be home in 5 years. But for us, and why we probably bond so well together is we are not afraid of the uncertainty of living abroad. And so to help anyone who's thinking about moving abroad or thinking about moving back or even trying to understand why on earth we are still here, look at it in that term. What's the risk to reward of being here versus going home? And if you're somebody who is very much okay with not knowing where you're going to be in 5 years, then maybe going abroad is the thing for you. Because that's it. I mean, you and I have no idea. You have a little bit more of a plan now, but still, you could be in the States, you could be here. If you're okay with that, consider it. I highly recommend it. If you're not okay with that, I'd still recommend maybe coming here for a year, trying it out, doing a semester abroad, or at least stopping by to see your brother. Come on, Emily, get over here. I miss you, man. She hasn't been here yet. My mom's been, my dad's been, brother been. Your mom's been. I saw the video.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I see that. You had family here?
Nope.
Not yet?
Not one person.
Come on. Get over here. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Before we go, of course, we've got to remind you of the important thing of keeping us alive here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And to do that, you got to know where to find them. So go ahead. Let's start with Skycedi.
Skycedi is the channel. So I do my culture.
I do my culture.
Do my culture.
What is your culture? Tell us.
My culture. Skycedi is the channel. And my channel is about Korean culture and also my experiences here as a Black and Korean. So you can find me there. Also Instagram at Skycedi.
There you go. And Mikole, give it to him.
What's up? All right, so like I said,
hey, you know I don't cut, so keep it going.
All right. Anyway, so my YouTube channel is Mikole. I cover a lot of things about, I guess, living in Korea, but I try to do so from a edutainer perspective.
There you go.
Edutainer perspective.
Yep.
And so you can also find me on Instagram at Mikole86.
There you go, everybody. The Alex Sigrist Show. Links in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
You gotta, I don't know. We gotta do something else on that one. No? That was okay?
What?
I forgot to do anything at the end. I didn't do anything.
Oh, you don't have anything.
Goodbye, Haseo.
Okay.
I'll just use my Korean one. Okay. See you next time.
Thank you.